If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post a new Tom Brady video every day.
Is Tom Brady the greatest player in NFL history?
Are you seriously asking, is he the greatest player in NFL history? And by the way, Robert Kraft said by far. The answer is yes. Yes, he is. Whoa! Guys, it's impossible to argue with. My eyeballs told me when they were on Lawrence Taylor in his prime, that's the best player I've ever seen. My eyeballs told me, like, if you were watching Walter Payton in his prime, that's the greatest offensive player I've ever seen, right? But it is impossible to argue against a quarterback who's played almost 20 years for the greatest dynasty in the history of football. And by the way, who has improved throughout his career. It's actually 18 years so far. So when I say he's been better on the back nine than on the front, he has. He's improved over the last 9 years compared to the first 9 years of his career. The importance of the position combined with what he has done, and particularly in the postseason, makes him the greatest of all time.
Only Tom Brady gets to check everything off.
Brady versus Rodgers. You or mine. And if indeed this can be described a rivalry, who you got?
Well, I think they play the same position, but they're two different creatures, right? Aaron Rodgers is a guy you'd much rather have a beer with, you'd like to hang out with, maybe be in a group text. He's probably hilarious, plays the guitar, the whole thing. Tom Brady's an alien, though. This guy is a whole different level. Tom vs. Time was a real thing. Avocado ice cream, he eats weird chocolate. He's the greatest of all time. I think there's no doubt about that Tom Brady's the greatest of all time.
There's been a lot of GOAT talk this week. Big goats, little goats. To me, there's only one GOAT. If you're the greatest of all time, there's only one. And for Tom Brady, I think he's already there. I think he's the greatest of all time. So what's going to motivate him to come out and keep playing? I think inside him, he wants to make sure that he leaves no doubt that regardless of any situation, regardless of however we want to quantify it, he's the greatest of all time in his mind, even though we already think
he's
that.
Fixated on that?
I think he's fixated on proving everyone wrong still.
Yeah, I believe that. I think everybody wants to be the great, all that stuff is, but actually what is your North Star, I don't think that's what he's really I think it goes down to just enjoying, he enjoys it.
He does, he loves football, right. That's the whole reason, but he has talked to us during the season that it still bothers him that he was picked 199th, that people didn't believe he belonged in the league. And he said at the time, I'm sticking around longer than anybody else ever did because they didn't even think I belonged here.
Look, there's something unnatural in Tom. There's it's not in a bad way. It's like he has a fixation on that issue, yes, in a way that's competitive. It's unnatural, but in a really positive way.
Yes.
I don't know what to tell you.
And to me, it's that competitive thing. There are people that if he doesn't win this Super Bowl tonight, they'll say, aha, you couldn't do it without Bill. Somebody will say that somewhere. And so I think for him, even though we think he's the greatest of all time, for Tom to take that seed of doubt away from anyone out there, not only could I do it with Bill, I can come in the midst of COVID, in the midst of a worldwide pandemic, not no teammates. You can have helicopters flying around fields where I'm practicing on high school fields, and I can get this done. To me, that solidifies him as the greatest of all time in his mind.
You mentioned how you were in the Navy during the Ice Bowl and obviously an MVP of Super Bowl VI, a champion a second time less than a decade later. The fact that we're seeing Brady in his 9th Super Bowl, you're the perfect person to ask since you've seen a lot. You played against many. People say he's the undisputed greatest of all time. What do you think?
Well, one of the things really hard to predict, obviously, is drafting a quarterback. I mean, there's some that are obvious, and Troy Aikman with Dallas was one of the best drafts ever, but they knew that right away. But Brady was taken in the 6th round, and they obviously didn't understand his strengths, or he would have been drafted sooner. And his strengths are he's got a very good arm, but he gets rid of the ball quickly. He sees what's going on, and he evidently understands what's going on more than most quarterbacks because he gets rid of that ball quickly. It's hard to sack him, and he doesn't run. He doesn't really buy time running around. But he does it with his mind and reading the keys on defense. He can tell when it's zone man-to-man, and he knows that the receivers know when to hook up on a zone. And and make the break on a man-to-man, and he gets rid of the ball and he picks out that receiver, whether it's Gronk or Edelman, whoever it is.
So is that a yes?
Yes. He's amazing. He's really the best at being able to get rid of that ball and knowing what's going on there. And he's got he's a good athlete. He's stays in great shape.
What impresses you the most about this whole story?
Susie, if it's okay, just two things. One, probably his greatest accomplishment is this season of his whole career. To come to a new team in a new place, he could have easily been ceremonial. Helicopters flying over his house. How does he draw those new teammates into him, to trust him, to develop that so quickly, Bug? And it's, to me, there's all kinds of things, lessons in there, and how he does that to develop a sense of love and respect really quickly. And the second thing is Reggie White, whenever he'd sack me, he would grab me and then go to the ground, and then he'd want to talk. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? I haven't talked to you in a long time. My point being that Reggie could be in the heat of the competition, and then in a splash, he was a friend. And to me, that's the greatest thing about Tom Brady, is that he can be fixated on excellence, like maniacal fixation, and yet have a fulsome family life. Something that he can put on one pair of shoes here and put on another pair of shoes there. And it's a great example for all of us how to be more spiritually and emotionally athletic, be excellent, and still be great at multiple things. You can't say enough, but I think the rootedness of who Tom Brady is, to me, is a lesson for all of us. We can learn from what he's done. It's really a miraculous thing.
Tom Brady, where does he stand for you?
The best.
No question, right?
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Of all time.
Yeah, and the reason I say that, I mean, you look at some of the other guys, and of course, I wasn't around to watch Johnny Unitas, but all the great things said about him and how great he was.
Right.
Joe Montana. Of course, my class with John and, of course, Dan. But, he does it year in and year out, and he does it with different players all the time. They're not all superstars, but he makes them that way. And he rarely has a really good, solid running game. But you never count him out. And I'll put it this way. I would never, ever bet against him. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. But for somebody that, got back to the game as many times as you did, just the fact that you were able to do that just takes, obviously, something. What do you think is within him that gets him this is his 8th one of these?
He likes it. He loves it. He lives for it.
You ever any conversations with him?
Oh, yeah, all the time, yeah. We text back and forth. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I'm going to tell it like it is. There's a lot of people out there that don't like him. That's because he's so good. Buffalo Bill fans.
What Brady has done will never be duplicated by anyone. I would bet any amount of money on this. You will not see another quarterback in this unless they change football to where there's no salary cap. In a salary cap era, go to a Super Bowl every other year and win a third of the Super Bowls in the time he's played. That's what his numbers are. 18 seasons that he's played, because I'm going to throw out the year he blew out his knee, went to 9 Super Bowls, that's 1 in 2 appearances, and won 6 of them. That's 1 in 3 victories. It's unprecedented.
But Tom Brady, 5 rings. All he does is win. He never loses, and it looks like he can play till he's 50 with that terrible tasting ice cream that you're talking about.
I don't think there's any doubt that it's harder to have that longevity as a player than it is to have longevity as a coach. And looking at what Tom Brady has done in just his 40s, winning a championship and an MVP, I mean, we haven't seen any player at that level at that age. So I think you have to appreciate that level of greatness from Tom Brady. You can't take that away from him.
So, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, who do you think is the greatest of all time?
Oh, man. Nowadays, it's based on rings, really, but Tom Brady is just in the league of his own right now, in my opinion, of how many rings he's won and how big of a competitor he is. And, he just plays with a chip on his shoulder, and that's what I respect about him, obviously. When he got drafted, he was, really late, basically not even drafted. And to do what he's done from that position, I have a lot of respect for him.
That's it for this video. I post a new Tom Brady video every day, so please like and subscribe. That way you'll always have a new Tom Brady video to watch every single day. Thanks for watching.